Hey y'all, welcome back to Lay It on the Line. It's your girl Jamila, and as you can see, part two, Miss Brandi is here to join us to finish telling us her story of
Yes.
life after trauma. Now, Miss Brandi, you was here with us before, and you shared your story with us.
Mhm.
Um, I know I received some feedback from some of my viewers.
Mhm.
Have you received any feedback from the part one? Because I would like to address anything from part one before we jump into part two.
Yes, I did receive some feedback about. I'm not gonna address which part that I got feedback on. I do want to say that this is my story that I live. Nobody filled these shoes but me. A lot of people that know me, my kids, husband, kids' father, my mother, my dad, whatever. Um, y'all was on the outside looking in. See, I'm not here to badmouth nobody. I'm not here to address nothing to make nobody look bad or anything of that sort. But this is me living in my truth and me being able to um, tell my story to help me to be able to help somebody else. So therefore, yes, I did get feedback on some people, and maybe they didn't like what was told, or rather, they didn't like the truth that was really told. So
That's all
therefore,
good. So we're gonna
it is
recap.
what it
We
is.
talked about your life as a child, growing up in CPS custody.
Mhm.
You had to witness both of your parents verbally and physically, mentally abusing each other.
Mhm.
You share with us that you met your husband in the system.
Mhm.
Um, you talked to me about your children's father as well.
Mhm.
That you are a grandmother and a mother
Yes.
of four, right?
Yes, of course.
Yeah. Okay. And then you also shared with us that you was getting counseling and you started receiving trauma counseling, right?
Yes.
Okay. Now, with your trauma counseling that you've been getting,
Mhm.
what is the main focus for your healing right now in life? What is the main thing that you feel that you need to focus on, I guess, to continue to heal?
Um. Basically, I found out that I don't have to please everybody else. I don't have to put everybody before me. I don't have to always be there a helping hand for everybody else because I need to heal on me.
Mhm.
I'm always used to putting everybody before me and putting me back there.
What are some things that you do now that make you remember I come first? My needs are important. I matter. So in therapy, have they given you any tools to use or anything that can help you to remember? Because when you're in the habit of always putting people before you, you don't think about yourself. So what are some things that you do to remind you, hey, I come first?
It's always okay to say no.
Mm-hmm.
'Cause I remember sometimes when I tell somebody no, they basically trying to hold it against me, like make me feel like I'm guilty, like I have to do this, you know.
Yeah,
Um,
those guilt
I'm
trips.
obligated to do it, which I'm not obligated to do it. So, but those people are no longer here.
Mm-hmm.
So the people that are here tried to use it against me. Oh well, they not here, so I can get more.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay to say no.
Mm-hmm.
Um, like I said before, I don't have to fill into everybody else's cup and leave mine empty. It's
Amen.
time for me to fill my cup up.
Mm-hmm.
If yours halfway empty or halfway full, hey,
That's their business.
yeah, let me do what I need to do.
Exactly.
Um, 'Cause at the end of the day, it's always me licking my own wounds.
Mm.
And I do want to say this here part. I do want to say this here. And I may step on some toes or whatever when I do say this here. But I'm nice, I'm nasty with it. But hey, I'm not looking for no sympathy whatsoever when I tell my story. Because with all due respect, if I want sympathy, I can look in the dictionary between shit and syphilis and find sympathy.
Mm.
I'm 46 years old and I ain't found it yet. And I
Mm.
ain't looking for it. So therefore, it's time for me to do what I need to do for me. Not that I'm saying it's hindering me, but I can go further than where I'm at now
Mhm.
instead of doing what I need to do for other folks.
Right.
I'm tired of drowning and helping everybody else out while they getting lifesavers. I'm not doing it no more. That's why I'm here. And I do
I feel
thank
you.
y'all for allowing me to tell this story.
Always. I appreciate you for being here, and I'm glad
Yes.
that you are comfortable enough to share your story with me. Now, one thing that I wanted to dive into and ask you about, everything that you experience with your parents growing up, like we get the foundation is when we're little. So you said that you live with the Ike and Tina. Do you think that seeing your parents go through what they went through, is that the idea of what you had, what marriage was supposed to be about, that was included in a marriage? Compare, if you had to compare, let me rephrase it. If you had to compare your marriage to your parents' marriage, do you think that they were similar and that's what you thought marriage would be, or did you look at their marriage and say that's not what I want for myself?
I said that's not what I wanted for myself. But as I got older, because remember it happened when I was younger, I didn't understand then.
Mhm.
But as I got older, I wanted a mother and a father in the household with my children, but I didn't want to go through the drastic measures of what I went through.
Mhm.
So therefore, I wanted better for my children. I wanted a better marriage. I did what I need to do to make a better marriage. But what I did wasn't good enough
It wasn't good enough for who?
for the whole marriage at all. It wasn't good for me, and it wasn't good for my children.
So how was it? Because the husband is not the kid's
Correct.
father rather.
Correct.
How was it being in a marriage with somebody and having children that didn't belong to that marriage, that wasn't created within that union?
Well, when we reunited back in I want to say it was 2002 or 2003 when I found out where he was in TDC, because my baby boys was younger then. We reconnected. We would go see him and things of that sort. He accepted my children and he loved my children. He provided for them and things of that sort until a time came. Um, we was at the point where we was a big happy family.
Mhm.
We did what we needed to do. Somewhere where it went wrong, I'm not sure, because I always worked. I always made sure that I did what I needed to do to make sure the family stayed afloat, to
So do
be
you think
honest.
that by working too much, it might have impaired your vision to see, like, okay, I'm spending too much time away from home. I need to be home. Or if you had been home more, you would have been maybe able to see that something was happening, because if it's always good till it's not good anymore. So did this just like blow up in your face and you just had no idea that your husband had stepped out on your marriage?
I mean, we had issues, and I'm not gonna say that it just blew up.
Mhm.
But the reason why I did what I did is because I wasn't going back to where I came from.
Mhm.
That's why I worked so much. Not only because me being a mother, I didn't want to go back to homelessness.
Mhm.
That's why I did what
Let's
I
talk
did.
about that. When were you homeless and for how long were you homeless?
Um, my two oldest ones are 29 and 27. Um,
How old were they at the time that you experienced homelessness?
I experienced homelessness back in I want to say 98.
And when you
After
say
I graduated high,
homelessness, like this means you have no resident of your own, or you have no roof over your head.
I have no. Okay, let me. Okay, I graduated in high school after I dropped out in '98.
Mhm.
Um, that that's another thing. I moved from College Station back here to Houston. Me and the kids, dad separated. Um, I was living with my mother. I started getting sick because I have health issues. I started getting sick, but I would work after I graduated. I graduated high school and everything, but I was getting sick. That's when I started developing diabetes, real, real
Mm.
bad. I always had thyroid issues since I was 12, but this time I'm on insulin at this point. So I'm at the point where my sugar is uncontrollable. I'm getting jobs, but I'm not able to keep them because I'm sick.
Mhm.
Um, so it was the two older boys, my two older boys. Um, I asked my mom, can I come stay with her until, I get enough money to go give me another apartment or whatever. She basically told me I had 2 weeks to stay with her. So the 2 weeks came, but I
How
got
many
sick
kids
again.
did you have at that time?
Two,
You
my
had
two
two
older
kids.
boys, my
Okay.
two young boys was not born yet.
Okay.
She told me I had 2 weeks to stay with her.
And the kids were with you.
They was my kids always been with me,
Okay.
always been with me. Um, so when the 2 weeks came, she actually told my oldest brother that he needed to take me and my kids and all our belongings and drop us off at the front door of the shelter and don't bring us back.
Has she communicated that to you?
I sat right there and heard her tell her them that.
Oh, you were sitting next to them when she told him that.
I was sitting in front of them when she said that. Yes,
Do you
ma'am.
know what made her? Oh, because she gave you 2 weeks, and in 2 weeks you were supposed to be able to just have it together, have a place to stay.
But you gotta understand the relationship that me and my mom had.
Right.
Not that I disrespect her ever. I never disrespect
Right.
my mom. It was
But
just
even as
me
a
being
child,
me.
she gave you away and pushed you off on other people. So we can't be too surprised that she's giving you 2 weeks. All right. So at this point, is that what your brother do? There's no other family members
Yes,
that could help you out.
that's exactly what he did. The first place I went to was Star Hope, and I was with my two older kids at Star Hope. Um,
So what is for people who don't know what Star Hope is or who have never seen a shelter? If you could describe what that was like walking up there with your two kids. What does it look like inside? How was that experience?
we stayed there 2 nights.
Okay.
Me and my kids stayed there 2 nights. I didn't know what I was going into. I didn't know nothing about going going into a shelter with kids. Now, don't get me wrong, I was in CPS, but it's a difference because I was a mother at this time. So once we got there, they did the intake, everything. They put us in this room, and me and my kids sat on the bed. We sat on that bed all night long. They got these lockers where you put your stuff in.
Don't you start. I got makeup on, girl.
I'm I'm telling. I never told this to no. We sat there all night long. Me and my kids, we cried and we cried and we cried all night long. The next day, we got up. We went to go eat breakfast. They told us we had to eat breakfast and things. We still haven't had no sleep. We had to drink lukewarm water. It was like we was in prison. It was like I never seen nothing before like it. But by the gracious of God, this one lady told me while we was sitting there, we was eating slop. Well, me and my kids, we didn't eat. We starved today. The lady say, "How old are you, baby?" I said, "Ma'am, at this time I'm 17, going on 18."
You was that young?
Mhm.
And your mama had your brother drop you off at a shelter
Mhm.
with your two kids.
Mhm.
Oh my God, Brandi.
This lady said, "Baby, how old are you?" I was 17, going on 18. And she said, it's a place called Covenant House for your age. I don't know nothing about
Mm.
this here. So she said, you'll do better with your kids over there than you will here. Because it was like we was in jail.
Mm.
We was around.
That just seems so unsafe for a child. You were a child.
At this time, we was, I can't just thinking about it. It was older women.
What was your father?
At, I mean, he was still out working and whatnot. Nobody knew what happened.
Hmm.
Nobody didn't really know that I was in the shelter. At this time, they had the railroad killer. They were leaving bodies along the railroad behind the shelter at this time. So the lady was telling me about this place called Covenant House on Lovett Street in
Mhm.
Montrose area. I left everything I had at that shelter.
Mhm.
God is my witness. I had one bus token and she gave me the address. And I took me and my kids over there. We slept on the floor in this waiting room at Covenant House because they couldn't allow me in because I didn't have my insulin with me. So the next day, my sister, I called my sister, which is the brother who dropped me off, baby mom. I said they won't let us in because I need my insulin because they didn't want to be liable for
Right.
if something happened to me. My I went from Montrose area all the way here to 1960 by Northwest Medical Center. And my doctor, I told him what was going on, and he wrote me a prescription to get my insulin, and they got us in. So when I finally went upstairs, the world, I was still sad because I'm in a shelter, but we was relieved. And I seen a smile on my kids' face
Mhm.
because they was around other kids at this time, and I'm around other people my age.
Right.
My kids had their own beds, and I started reading the Bible. That's the first time I ever picked up the Bible and started reading it from the first cover.
Mhm.
At that point, we would actually go and eat lunch, breakfast, and dinner. My kids could get how much they want. They weren't limited. They could go outside and play once we finished eating. I was I was seeing a little growth, but I was still in the situation I was in. So we was there for a little while, and
Did anybody come for y'all while y'all were there?
I never had a visitor.
Mm.
I never had a visitor. Nobody didn't know where we were.
Mhm.
So
Where was your brothers at this time? You have siblings.
my my second brother, he was still an orange. At this point we wasn't, cause he's adopted. But my older brother, he living with my mom and his friend
Mhm.
living with my mom at this time.
But you said your mama kept the oldest one with her. You told us that on part one.
Exactly. So now he going through hard times at the time, and now his best friend at the time needed a place because they all grew up together.
Mhm.
Um, and my brother, they stay with mom. She allowed them to stay with her, but I'm at the shelter with my kids.
Mm.
Hey, I swear, I don't, ain't no problem. Whatever. I wound up going to a transitional living place called Augusta Place after that. It was probably about a month later, and I wound up enrolling in college on my own. ACC, that was the first degree I received. They didn't have to pay for my college because I was already, when I was in Covenant House, I was already enrolling myself, learning how to do this financial. Everything I'm learning to do on my own. Nobody telling me I'm doing it on my own. I'm working the system instead of the system working me.
Remember how you said at the beginning how your story could help somebody else?
Right.
This is a woman that have two kids. By the age of 17, she's homeless.
Yes.
And instead of feeling sorry for herself or allowing her situation to overcome her life, you overcame that. You went to school.
That didn't stop there.
Tell girl,
It
tell
didn't
your
stop there.
story.
So we in the transitional living program, Augusta Place. Um, Now it's like six little duplexes, top and bottom. But it's a group home. But I
Mhm.
have my own apartment. Everybody have their own apartment, so it's like six different women there. We go to group. They help us save money in account, things of
Okay.
that
So
sort.
they teaching y'all life skills.
Right.
Okay.
They taking us back and forth to school. They don't have to pay for my schooling because I already got funded for my schooling through financial aid. My kids, they provided daycare for my kids. They pick us up. They take us to go get our kids, and once we get out of school, They pick us
I
up
didn't know
and
that
drive.
they provided all of that. I just assumed when you go to a shelter, that's just giving you somewhere to stay, giving you something to eat.
But see, you gotta. That's the thing is, if you're not willing to put in the work, they're not gonna show you what you need to do. I was
Somebody
willing
needs
to.
to hear this and know, because the average person that has never been in that situation don't know what to ask for.
Right,
So somebody watching can hear this. They might be
right,
in your same situation and they can understand, like, there is
right.
hope and there is help that's out there for you.
When you go to a shelter, you have to be at a shelter 30 days in order to be deemed homeless.
Hmm.
But it don't stop there. So the funding fell through for that shelter. So everybody they lost the contract, the property and everything.
So
And
everybody that's in the shelter ended up homeless again
Salvation
while
Army,
you were there.
while I was there. This is part of the Pilching. It was I guess a non-profit organization. The funding fell through. So we had to go to Salvation Army. Here I go again. I'm amongst other women. But at this point I'm not down. But the only thing that bring me down is that, hey mom, I want to talk to you and tell you how I'm feeling about this and all that stuff. You don't got no other reason to call me. Don't call me nothing unless it's some good or happy or this and all that stuff.
This is your conversation with your mother?
Yeah. Oh God, yes.
Hmm.
I said, okay. I thank you. Hung up the phone. Salvation Army is on McGowan Street. Now remind you, I'm still in college now. ACC is down the street on Holman from Salvation Army. My kids, they have daycare inside of there, but you have to be the parent have to be at the shelter for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. You have to be there.
So when they expect y'all to go to work?
I didn't work. What I did, I went to Texas Workforce downtown on Crawford and got outside daycare funded for my children in CI.
Hmm.
The daycare came to the shelter,
To pick them up.
picked my kids up because my kids didn't like the daycare that was inside the shelter.
Hmm.
But remind you, when you're in a shelter, you got to pull your weight. You got to do dishes. You got to keep your room clean. You got to keep your kids minded. You got to go do chores. You got to help out with dinner. You got to do
Oh.
this. You got to do that. You got to be there for every meal. So if I got to be here for every meal, that means my kids don't have to be here for every meal. But I'm going to find some outside. Because every time I left my kids there to go to handle my business, to provide for them, they would cry.
Hmm.
So I provided they can outside of the, my kids was happy then. Okay, that's one thing I overcame.
Okay.
So mind you, I'm still in school, ACC. So what I did, I would walk to school every morning, and I had Yolanda Adams, "The Battle Is Not Yours." I had a tape set,
Hmm.
and I would listen to it
You had a
every
tape
day.
set, girl. You going back old
Girl,
school.
headphones. I would listen to it every
That's your
day, back and
inspiration.
forth. I'm walking probably what 8, 9 blocks there and back.
Wow.
After breakfast, I gotta be back for lunch.
Hmm.
Then I'm gonna go back before dinner and make it back before my kids get back from daycare.
Daycare.
Keep my room clean. Keep my anybody tell you my kids always stay clean.
Hmm.
Kept my room clean. I did my chores. I did whatever they needed me to do around the shelter. I did that.
Hmm.
I inspired other women to be. Boy, I helped other women and inspired them. Some of them went on job interviews. They had 6 kids. I'm watching my kids and I'm like, they were like, I don't know about to watch my kids, but I want to go on the job interview. Baby, go ahead, come on, bring your kids over here to my
So you
room. We we
became a
we gonna we
support
gonna we
system.
gonna watch TV over here,
Yeah.
so you can do what you need to do. Even though I didn't get support, but let me help somebody else.
Right.
I always been mindful for somebody else.
Right.
It wasn't
But
always
your
by
time
me.
is coming. Like you said, you learning right now that now it's my turn. I need to put myself first.
But sometimes when you don't put yourself first, God gonna put you first.
Yeah.
Now the director of that facility, nobody liked her. Her name was Miss Ramona. I don't know if she's still there now, but I thank God for her. She was mean. She was mean. She was a mean person. But if you handle your business, you don't have to be heard. You can always be seen. So she called me in one day and she said, Brandi, it's not fair for me to not tell you this here. I could pass you up, but I'm not. She said, I see how you work with your kids. You be around here. You do what you need to do. You go back and forth to school. She said, you keep your room up. You keep your kids clean. Nobody don't have to. You never been written up or nothing.
Right.
She said, I want you to take this address. And she gave me some bus token. She told me to go to Wesley House in Fifth Ward. And them people paid my rent in my own apartment for 2 years.
Wow.
And I've been on my own ever since. But I got off their system before they can kick me off their system because I was ready to get on my own. Now it's time for somebody else to come in my
Right.
spot.
Right.
That's how I got out of Salvation Army. I worked the system and not let the system work me.
There you go.
And I graduated my first degree at ACC, and I graduated with my third son. And then I wound up jailing 10 months after that because they 10 months apart. But I was still on my own. And I've been
10
on my
months
own since.
apart.
Girl, yeah, they Irish twins, child.
You was humping.
Yeah, I guess, girl. The shut to make you do it, I guess. But I've been on my own ever since.
How do you feel everything that you just shared right now, like being homeless, living in a shelter, not having a support system? How do you feel that that has shaped who you are as a woman and as a mother today?
How I feel right now, words can't explain. Because, first of all, I'm not ashamed of it. I don't regret it. I thank God for it. Because when I look at my kids and they look at me, we don't see no shame. That's my motivation.
I'm gonna give you a big hug after
They
this
don't,
interview. I
don't see
just want
no
to give you a
shame.
big hug.
I
That's
thank
a lot,
God.
and I thank God that you don't look like what you've been through. Because
That's it.
Brandi, like from part one, just from the things that you've told me, and let me just go back, watching your parents fight each other, having your mom push you off on people because daddy got to give you some money, give her some money,
Hmm.
like you are not a possession, you are
Right.
their child, and it's like that's the first place that you should have received love from or felt love from. And a lot of times, and I can't speak for nobody else, but this is just me speaking from my own experience.
Hmm.
If the people at home don't love you properly inside, how do you know how to receive love from somebody outside?
And that's the thing. I'm not gonna say that they didn't love me. I'm never gonna say that. I love my parents. I never disrespected them, even when they got older. Even though I lost them in the same year. There's nothing written in stone saying that life is easy. Parenting is easy. There's nothing
Has
written about
parenting
that.
been easy to you?
No.
Me
And
neither.
I can't. I don't know what they never shared what they. But I didn't hold it against them,
Right.
And I think that's the reason why it didn't hinder me. It kept me moving forward. But I knew what I didn't want for my children.
Right.
But parenting not easy, and being a mother and a father. Hey, it is what it is. But now, if you made the choice to not be there, not even an ounce of it, then that's different.
Hmm.
I know what that feel like through my children. I know what that feel like because when somebody tell you to your face, "No, I ain't selling nothing." Yeah.
Okay, let me ask you this because you have 4 kids by
Mhm.
the same man.
Mhm.
Why didn't you marry him?
Dodge the bullet. God, be God. To be honest with you, no, he asked me to marry him before, but when you wake up one morning and say, "Hey, I don't want to be a father no more,"
He told you he didn't want to be a father no more?
now you can see it.
Okay. His actions showed it.
Clearly, Ray Charles and everybody else can see it,
Mm, mm,
because
mm.
you went from our oldest son and then our second son, and then started our second son. You kept this boy on your hip.
Hmm.
Hey, you was a proud parent then.
Hmm. What do you think
Then it just
happened?
started. I don't know, and I ain't asking about it.
Right, because that's not even for you because you know that you stayed there. And it's like in most scenarios with good mothers, they're gonna have their children and they're gonna sacrifice and they're gonna do whatever. Mothers don't usually get a chance to say that I don't want to be a mom, but the good thing about it is if a mom does decide that she don't want to be a mom, you do have a system that will take these children in so that they don't be homeless. So we do have to
Yeah.
be thankful for that part. In the system and being homeless, is there a comparison to the two?
You have to show signs of neglect. Because when I was in CPS, it wasn't that you volunteer and do it. You can't do that now.
Hmm. No,
It
they
costs too much
took
money.
you, but I remember you said for your husband. No, no, no.
No, he was
Your family was volunteering with him. They
right,
took him. So
but
when y'all go into the system, is that better than how it was at the shelter, or is it about the same?
it's about the same.
Really?
But nowadays,
Mhm.
you have more resources,
Mhm.
and by me working for them, um, we offer the because we try and keep the family together.
Mhm.
Hey, let me refer you over here to this shelter over here so you can be with your child. But you got to show signs of neglect and abuse, and that's how a lot of children fall through the cracks
Mhm.
too. Because now you could be living in a car and like there's nothing wrong with it. You still provide shelter for your child.
That's how they look at if you're living in a car. That shelter.
They're not in the cold.
That's
They're
true.
not in the rain.
But I mean, look
If you
at the
look at
story
it,
with the one lady. I think she was in Chicago.
but come
She
to find out
was.
it was carbon monoxide poisoning from the
Oh,
kids.
they didn't freeze to death. And it was in the garage. It was like an open garage, and that must have been a raggedy car. I guess I
It
don't
got
know.
come to find out it was the kids was poisoned
They were
from that.
poisoned.
Well,
Oh, from the
from
carbon
the
monoxide.
fumes, yes,
So they all could have died, really.
exactly.
And that's a tragedy, and that's something that we don't want to happen. And I think that's why it's good for people. I'm glad you're on the show now because you can educate our viewers and let them know, like, you don't have to be homeless. You can go to a shelter.
Yeah,
You
you
know,
could go to shelter. You don't have to have no job.
where
You
your
don't have.
camera talk,
Okay,
go and talk to the camera.
all right.
Tell them.
If you have a CPS case, you don't have to be without a home. You don't have to be without a job. You don't have to be without transportation. This is and all. Every everybody don't live at this standard right here.
Mhm.
We have property. Your house don't have to be just immaculate. You know what I'm saying? You no. You don't have to. When I go in these homes, oh man, I didn't clean up. No, I'm not looking for that. We trying to make sure you don't have no dog feces. You know, y'all sleeping on the floors. We want to make sure you got running water,
Right.
utilities, things of that
The
sort.
basic
Now, if
necessities.
you don't have, you can have a mattress on the floor, but your child is not on the floor. They separated
They on
because
the
of that
mattress.
mattress.
Yeah.
So what we do, we'll provide an air mattress for you.
Mm.
If you co-sleeping with your child, we will provide you with a pack and play for your infant child to be in, so therefore you won't co-sleep with your child and have seeds or infant death or things of that sort. Everybody trying to paint CPS a bad picture. I can't speak for other you know, areas of CPS. I can only come from where I'm coming from and what my office do. Now, do they have complacent workers? We do. But I'm gonna talk about me. Now, if I see a family in need, I'm gonna go far and beyond. I didn't had a family where they windows was busted out by the mother, and it was the grandparents, and both of them was in wheelchairs. They was
Mm.
busted out. They had nothing but cardboard sitting up there, but the mother could still get in. But they was protective of the children, and she was on meth. Me
Mm.
and another co-worker went to Home Depot and nailed up and boarded up these windows ourselves out of our pocket. We didn't ask for no money back, no nothing. That's how we go far and beyond.
Right.
You know, we didn't ask for no recognition, even though they gave us the highest award in the state. But we didn't ask for that recognition. It's the safety of the children
Right.
because if it was me, I want somebody to help me.
Exactly.
And the children was like, my mom can still get through here and this is that. Like, okay, so what we gonna do? Hey, I worked over hours. Hey, we finna go get some nails. We finna go get. Let's measure this. We finna toot toot. We did a lot of work, but we made sure them kids were safe though.
All right.
But I mean,
Let me
you
ask you
have to
this
do all that.
question, because I'm really big on personal experiences and life experiences.
Mhm.
Your situation,
Mhm.
17. your mama saying you can't stay here, you're gonna
Mhm.
have to go to the shelter, having 2 kids. If you could speak to somebody that, I'm gonna just say somebody that don't even have a child, you got these kids out here that's 17, 18, 19, 20, 22, anybody under 25 that really don't have a plan for their life, that really is just kind of lost, and they might not even realize they lost because you staying at home with your mama and you don't have no major responsibilities. If you could give a young person some advice to avoid being in these situations. Now, your situation is different because you were a child and your mom kind of gave up on you. No disrespect.
Mhm.
But for a teenager or somebody that's in their early 20s,
Mhm.
so that they don't have to have these type of scenarios be their story, what's something that you feel that you could have done or something that you learned from in your truth that you can share with them to maybe encourage them to take a different path so that life won't be so hard or so challenging?
So this is someone that have a child and they at home
They
with
don't
their
have to
mother.
have one because they might be thinking that they want a baby. You know, these kids, they get with a dude and they get, all in their head and be like, oh, I love him and I want to have a baby. But you don't even know what you want to do with your life. You haven't finished school. You don't have a career, because a lot of times having that baby is your setback. Because at 17, if you didn't have those 2 kids, I'm pretty sure even if your mom sent you to a shelter, it wouldn't have been as hard because without those 2 kids, you didn't have to worry about their safety. You didn't have to worry about sending them to daycare.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
just because of what you went through, you wouldn't want your children to go through. What do you tell your kids so that they can have a different path?
I have a son that he's 20 23. Jalen is 23. He got 2 kids. He don't have a job. He got one little thing on his background. Um, he was struggling in school, and I didn't think he was gonna graduate. But my biggest thing, you gonna graduate. That's mine. You owe me that.
Mhm.
All 4 of my kids graduated. He graduated late, but he graduated
Right.
with one child. Well, 2 of my kids graduated with children.
Mhm.
They children watched them walk across the
But they saw
stage.
them do it.
They saw them do it.
Mhm.
And I made sure I stayed on them.
Mhm.
But you got to have the support. You got to be willing to listen. You got to be willing to be open minded. Not always talk back thinking you know this, and all the other stuff. But don't get me wrong, my son, he's stubborn. But at the end of the day, these folks out here that you think that are your friends, they want to tell you this and tell you that, and you want to see, oh, I can go do what they doing, and this is and all that stuff. No, 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 no. Be your own person. Listen to whoever telling you they well seasoned. Somebody got to be well seasoned in your life.
Right.
Don't go by somebody that's, hey, we both in the same boat, and you
Mhm.
finna take advice from some you blind leading the blind. No,
Mhm.
no, no, don't do that. Life is hard, especially when you have a child. I just slept on a bus stop
Mm.
overnight with 2 of my children before the shelter.
Mm.
It's not easy. It's
Mm.
not easy. And it's really not easy when you have the children. And when my kids come of age, it get harder. It don't get easier. It get harder because you want to make sure they don't get into the wrong things in that
Right.
sort. But I always been open and honest with my children. They was always willing to listen to me. But I always been firm, fair, consistent with my children. I always never show no. My favorite is always who I'm talking to at that time.
Mhm.
I always tell them that, and I always tell my kids to stick together no matter what. But I always let my kids know that no matter what, you always gotta have a plan A, a plan B, and it's best to have a plan C.
Right.
And I never kept nothing from my children. But I let them know don't depend on nothing and nobody. Don't depend on me. Depend on yourself.
Right.
Because if you depend on somebody else, they're gonna let you
Yeah.
down.
If you
That's the
disappoint
biggest
yourself,
thing.
that's you can't be mad at nobody but yourself.
Exactly.
Right.
And my son got 2 children right now. Even though, he's not doing nothing wrong to to take care of his kids, even though he do the prize picks or whatever. Hey, I'd rather for you to do that than going out here and knock somebody over the head,
That part.
or doing this and that and all that stuff. But he's a good father, but he's coming along.
Yeah. But I think,
So
a lot of times people equate being a good father with, oh, this is how much you could pay for this child. Being a
no,
good parent is deeper than what you can provide for them monetary. Because even if you don't have a dollar, are you gonna put that child first? Are you compassionate? Are you sacrificing for this baby? Are you gonna give your baby a bath? Are you gonna feed your baby? You changing your baby diapers? Because a lot of times people take that for granted.
that goes back to the question you asked me in part one. What How does a child feel when a parent is active in their life? Oh, they can pay child support all day long, but you gotta be active.
Right.
Child, let me tell you something. One of my sons put child support on himself just to see his child,
Mm, mm, mm.
and it's still a big hassle.
I really feel sorry for the guys sometimes because you have some deadbeats that don't, they could care less if they see their child, they could care less if their child is okay because they're just going to depend on the mom. But I really do, my heart goes out to the men that want to be there, that try to be there,
Thank you.
and then the mom is mad or bitter and decide, well, if you don't like me, then you can't see your baby, or if you don't do what I say, or if you don't give me the amount of money that I want, you cannot have a relationship with your child. And I just personally feel like, well, that is not just your child, it's his child too. And if he's good enough
Yes.
to give you money, then he should be good enough to get that time.
But see, the thing is, how we make it, we're not gonna put no money in your hand, baby. We're not finna do that, cause I can do that
Yeah,
all day long.
I can buy my child what they need.
At my house, I run my house on a tight schedule, and it's been like that for a long time.
Hmm.
My grandsons got their own room. So when they come to my house, leave your stuff over there. They got their stuff over here.
Right.
So when they leave here, whatever they came with,
They go back with.
they could go back with. Now, hey, we ain't gonna be petty.
Hmm.
If you need something, hey, we gonna give it to you,
Right.
whatever. Let's keep confusion down. Oh, I did this and I did that. No, cause ain't nobody finna do no more than what's
Right.
already. We gonna keep it at a level,
Right.
at a level. But don't get me wrong, we do have these bitter baby mamas that, cause you had a baby by somebody else, but y'all not together, and you don't want this child over here because you over here. I'm going through that now. Hey, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
Everybody needs to grow.
Yeah.
Everybody needs to
But
grow.
time heals everything. I was once young before I was with somebody that had other kids. And for me, I always thought that it was just best to get along with the baby mamas because at the end of the day, if I'm with him and your child comes to our house, who you think taking care of this baby? It's me.
But see, the thing is, mine was vice versa. My kids are older. They got a younger brother.
Mhm.
My kids went over to their dad's house and was abused by his
Oh,
girlfriend.
yeah, that's I
And they
can't.
talk about it to this day.
Yeah, I'm glad that I never experienced that, and I'm pretty sure that my son dad did a good job of letting people know I don't play about mine. But anyway, before
Yes.
we wrap this up, is there anything else that you would like to lay on the line?
Um, but I can lay a lot on the line.
Lay it out.
But we go. If you have a good person in your life and a person is doing right by you, whether you it's a mother, daughter, wife, friend, whatever, embrace it. Embrace it. The reason why I say that is because even though I went through what I went through in 2020, my dad died in July, my mom died the same year, November. Lost my marriage in January of the year.
Mm,
House got shut up 3 times
mm,
the end
mm,
of the year.
mm. I remember you telling me about that.
You have to embrace life is too short for all this crazy stuff.
Mhm.
Embrace it.
Mhm.
But I'm gonna say this too. If you got support and people love you, love on who love on you. I have a best friend of 35 years. When I met my husband, I met her. I lost her last. It'll be a year this year. She been gone 2 years this year. Ain't never found nobody like her. She was more support than my parents were.
Mm.
And to this day, at nighttime, I despise that she is
I
gone.
know that feeling.
I have nobody to talk to. Sometimes I just sit on the bed, my kids come in and say, Mom, you good? Yeah, babe, I'm good. But once that door closed,
Mm.
I literally sit in the parking lot of the stores just looking at store ads or looking at affirmations or whatever because I have nothing to do.
Mm.
But I say that to say that everybody's so gonna call my friend this and my friend that and this and all this stuff. Love on who love on you. If your parents there, embrace it.
Mhm.
Disrespecting your parents and this and that is not worth it.
Mm.
If you got siblings, stick together.
Yes.
If you see red flags, take heed to it.
Mhm.
But I'm gonna say this much right here. Seek God. Cause God ain't never failed me. He brought me this far and I'm still going. I'm still going. I should have been crazy a long time ago. But I'm still here and
And
I'm
you
still
good.
standing.
Yes, and you good.
And I'm still gonna keep going.
Mhm.
But I thank you all. I thank God in the midst of it all and I thank y'all.
Well, we
I
thank
thank you,
you.
Lord.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Yes.
Thank you
Yes.
for laying it on the line. Thank you for being transparent. Thank you for feeling comfortable enough to share your story, your trauma. And I want to encourage you to continue to get your counseling. And if you just
Yes.
ever need somebody to talk to,
Yeah.
I love listening. You know, if you need feedback, I have feedback. I'm a good listener. But for those of you guys that's watching, make sure that you like, share, and subscribe.
Yes.
Thank you for joining us. Thank you, Brandi.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
All
Thank
right,
you.
we'll see y'all next time.